Imagine finding a treasure trove of never-before-heard music, lost to time, curated by one of the 70's biggest influencers. Well, that is just what happened when writer Joe Hagan went into the closet of record executive Earl McGrath. Tape after tape of music spanning from legends like Hall & Oates to unsigned artists who had sent in demos. That is how Earl's Closet, the lost archive of Earl McGrath, 1970 to 1980, was born. A double album with not only the music, but interviews with the artists. Joining us now, the producer of Earl's Closet, Joe Hagan. He is a special correspondent for Vanity Fair. Great to have you on this morning.
Joe, what a labor of love for you. Can you tell everybody, we've talked about this off camera, can you tell everybody how all of this came about?
Sure. Well, it started, as a journalist project. I was writing a book on Jan Wenner, as you know, Sticky Fingers, a book about the founder of Rolling Stone magazine. I know he was on here last week. And I met this guy, Earl McGrath, who I'd never heard of, but turned out to be this incredibly influential guy. He knew everybody. He was friends with Mick Jagger. He ran Mick Jagger's record label, Rolling Stones Records. He was friends with Angelica Houston, Harrison Ford, all manner of people in the art world. Well, he died not long after, and I was invited by his estate to go look at some photographs. Some of the ones you're seeing here, some of them were used in my book. And while I was in his apartment on West 57th Street in Manhattan, I was snooping around the apartment. I walk into a closet. There are hundreds of reel-to-reel tapes, old school analog tapes from the 70s. I went on a stepladder to have a look. And Joe, the first tape I pulled off was a master tape to Some Girls by the Rolling Stones.
Wow.
So that'll make you break out in a sweat. So I knew there was a story there right away. And I got interested in it. They were liquidating his estate at the time. And I said, I'm getting these tapes. And I very fortunately hooked up with an amazing independent record label in Los Angeles called Light in the Attic. And they said, hey, let's do this. Let's make an album. We'll put a book inside. It'll be journalistic. You can interview people, and we'll make it into a project.
Journalistic and also extraordinarily cool. I have to read this. Harrison Ford talking about Earl McGrath. Ford, who before Star Wars fame was Earl's handyman and pot dealer.
Yes.
He called him the last of a breed,
yeah.
One of the last great gentlemen and bohemians, I guess. So tell us about the music. What did you find? And beyond that, Rolling Stones, which would be enough? Yeah. That in itself would be enough. What else you got?
Well, amazingly, there are Hall & Oates. Maybe you've heard of them, Daryl Hall and John Oates. Their demo tape from 1969 was in there.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, when they began trying to be a country rock act. And I interviewed Daryl Hall, and he said they were trying to sound like the band and Robbie Robertson. There's a New York Dolls are represented in there. Jim Carroll Band, and if you've heard of him, he's a great, interesting poet. And and by the way, Earl discovered Hall & Oates. And that's a whole story in itself. It's in the book.
So what did you, with the tapes, did you digitize them? Were you able to get them so you could listen to everything?
We had a Grammy nominated record engineer remaster them and digitize them and clean them up, because some of them were in rough shape. And we have 20. It's a double album. There's 22 songs in all, and it's a big. A wide breadth of music. Yeah.
So the music business is so quirky, hit or miss.
Totally, yes.
Was there anything in there that you heard and immediately said, wow, this could go today?
Most of it, I will say. I mean, a large part of this, I felt like I was an A&R man from the 70s suddenly. I'm getting to revisit all these demos, which are just 3 songs by some artist, and they all end up having at least one really good one. There was a band called Shadow that was sort of a pop rock group that, for whatever reason, wasn't able to make it over the top. They were being billed as the American Bee Gees. They wanted to be this, didn't make it, but we've got 2 of their songs on here, and they're really amazing. There's several artists like that. And there are some other ones that are cult legends, like the Texas troubadour Terry Allen, which I would encourage everybody to check out, an amazing artist, still working today. And so, for me, this was like a fantasy, right, to come into this and then suddenly be able to relive this.
The double album is entitled Earl's Closet, the Lost Archive of Earl McGrath, 1970 to 1980 was born. That is just amazing. Joe Hagan, wow.
It is
that's
great story.
It is a great album. It is a great project. And as Joe said, it doubles as a journalistic project. Joe, thank you so much for being with us. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks, Joe and Mika.